Welcome, folks. I am Jaby KOAY, joined by SYNTELL KOAY.
Yo, what's up?
He is all the way in Denver, Colorado, and we're doing this remote. We're looking at a series of Marvel's Shang-Chi clips. The first one is going to be from IGN. A few are going to be from MCU Master, the YouTube channel, and then Emergency Awesome. I don't know if we're going to watch all of Emergency Awesome's video, but I just want to let you all know that this is just a collection of clips, so try to stick around for all of them if you could. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, bell icon, all notifications, and vote this up to let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. Also, follow SYNTELL with the Intel on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/SYNTELL. All right.
Come on in, baby.
Just for further clarification, as far as I know, these are all deleted scenes or alternate scenes. So, starting off with Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings official exclusive deleted scene from IGN. Pep talk.
Oh, no. No, I can't. No. I can't. I can't do this. I'm a valet driver from Richmond. What the hell am I doing here? I can't.
I'm an amputee from Romania who shouldn't be here either. But I've seen you drive and shoot better than most men in my army. And right now, the only thing that matters is stopping that monster. Okay?
I need that bow.
The stunt guy. It's so interesting.
Yeah, he sold it though, right?
Oh, look at the the early animation.
Oh.
Oh, he died?
That actually gives that death a little more context. I'm not mad at that.
I forgot that he died in the movie. Did he die in the movie? I can't remember. I wish that they did not delete that. That was actually a nice little moment. That guy had all of 3 words in the movie. You took out his one scene where he actually had things to say. And it wasn't terrible. Like, because you just look at him, he just looks like a bad actor. But he actually did a pretty good job there. I'm like, oh, like, that would have redeemed him for me. Because, like, he just seems like a grunt. And I actually thought that his performance there was decent.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say he looks like a bad actor, but because they didn't give him much to say, my assumption was he can't perform, acting-wise. He cannot put on display the emotions of a human being, so we have to take out all of his dialogue or not give him any. But, like, I thought his scene there, like, that was actually cool because it helped with his redemption as one of the villains in the film, firstly, because, like, he fought for the collective good of everybody there, and it was a nice little moment that probably would have looked dope in the movie, because they had that tracking shot, that old boy tracking shot, as he was going through all of the things. I just thought it was a nice little scene for Awkwafina as well. You saw what the objective was. There was a little story within that scene. That was cool.
Yes. Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head by saying there's a story within the scene. And it gives more validity over the overall loss of the Allies. And it gives his arc a complete more fuller circle because not only was we thought he was the bad guy, and then he makes realization that we have to work together. And then not only do we have to work together, I'm going to put my life on the line to make sure that the job gets done.
Yeah.
His arc is fully completed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should have stayed.
If they're worried about time, they could have just, like, cut down a little bit. There's this moment here where Awkwafina is deliberating over what to do before she looks back at the arrow. Maybe they could have trimmed that up and made it not so long so that you can include this in the film. But I guess when you're, like, trying to take out every ounce of fat from a movie to make its runtime, I guess you have to take this out. I guess it could go because it's still the same movie, but I would have loved if they kept it. I think that would have been cool. Now we have another one from MCU Master. I'm guessing these are all just taken off of, like, Disney Plus or from the Blu-ray. But anyway, Two Sons. Let's check this out.
You boys need to stand down. You're on the same side now.
No, we're not.
When you ran away, I took it very hard. I couldn't sleep, barely ate. But then while I was on business in Romania, I saw a boy on the street who reminded me of you. He was standing on a box juggling 3 balls with his one arm. I was so impressed. I adopted Matthias as my own.
Your father took me in and gave me a home. And a purpose.
And a razor arm.
It's a razor fist.
That makes no sense.
She's right, because it's technically an oxymoron. If you think about a fist as blunt, razor is like short.
Stop, please. Matthias can call his razor whatever he wants.
Yo, this Razor Fist guy's actually a good actor. They took out all his good shit. That makes me sad for him.
Yo, the curse of the editing room floor, man. Sometimes you end up on it.
I am genuinely sad for the guy. Every job you do is like an audition for the next job, especially in this industry. And so in the final product of Shang-Chi, he just looks like a thug. He just looks like a bonehead. But these two scenes that we've seen so far give him more depth as an actor, where it's like, oh, like he could be like a Dave Bautista. He could actually go out there and do some shit that's like meaningful and cool. But like the little exchanges he had in that scene, it explained where the fuck he came from. I'm like, how come he's not being played by some Asian dude? And then on top of that, the little glances of like, because sometimes, you know, you see scenes like that and it's so overplayed where it's like, oh, what? And like the confusion, he made it very small and believable. I liked what he did there. I'm a fan of this Razor Fist guy now. I'm like, oh man, hashtag bring back Razor Fist, man. Shit, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, so much so that we had said earlier, we were like, did he die? Did we remember him dying? Like, if we would have seen all of these other smaller moments, we would have known if he had lived or not. But his character had been a little bit watered down now, so unfortunately.
It would have also given more credence to the moment when he changes sides, because there's something about him that's like, in this scene, which is before his turn to the good side, there is like, maybe I'm projecting because I already know the whole arc of the movie, but in this scene, there's like this glimmer of good in him, just a sliver of it, because without this scene, he just seems like a bad guy. Like, why would he turn good? Just because, like, he sees the flying monsters eating people up? It's like a joke of a scene, but I like this because it gives you that little seed of like, oh, like this guy, he was just a boy on the streets at one point.
Yeah, now he's a thug and he died like one.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's the reality that we have now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, this is also from MCU Master. Here we go.
When Dad asked me to help him avenge her death, he gave me a choice. And I chose to desert you when you needed me the most. You shouldn't have gone through that alone. I should have been there. Lilia, 你可以原谅我吗？
被你丢下的那个小女孩，会毫不犹豫地原谅你。可是我认不出那个小女孩了。
Damn. Yo, these deleted scenes are dope. Normally, deleted scenes are garbage. It's like, yeah, that should have been deleted. These are good deleted scenes. There was a better movie in here. I mean, it's not a terrible movie, okay? Just state that again. It was a good movie, but there's a better movie in here with these deleted scenes.
I can kind of understand why they kind of left that one out a little bit, because it would have been a little bit redundant to me. In of itself, the scene is good, but in the grand scope of the whole picture, I mean, we pretty much know that she's past the point of being that same little girl anymore. And then, especially when you see the end credits and you see what path she's taking as well.
Yeah.
I think if you didn't have those end credits, then that scene would fit really nice. But because of the end credit scenes, it's like, oh, okay, it's a little redundant.
Maybe I'm just partial. I liked it.
Yeah, I know that it was a good scene.
I know that the middle of the movie gets bogged down with a lot of exposition and shit, but like that would have rooted me back into the story, because every time I watch the movie, that middle part, that middle section of the movie, always like, golly, like it just slows down a lot, and that would have helped. I think that would have been a really nice scene to have in the movie. You know, emotional weight keeps you rooted in the story. Like, just bombarding you with exposition and plot points, it's just kind of like, okay, you know, after a while. But emotional content has so much value. And so, like, this is a deleted scene that had some janky-ass editing because it's a deleted scene and they don't care. I still felt myself getting a little bit emotional. I mean, obviously, you're watching this through the Zoom, so you don't get the full effect, but I'm just saying.
So do you think she was faking? Because she looks like she's trying to have some emotion, and then she's like, but I don't care anymore, and then it just left. You think she was playing him a little bit?
I think that the end of the scene could have been more finessed, and maybe that's why they chopped it out. I think the point is that, see, the transition of her going, but that girl, I don't know that girl anymore, she's dead, or whatever she said. It just could have been more finessed, but it felt very kind of like binary. It just felt very binary, like, poof, switched. It's like, oh, she would have forgiven you in an instant, but she's dead. She ran off. You know, it almost felt like Jack Black in Kung Fu Panda, the beginning of Kung Fu Panda. I see you like to chew. How about you chew on my fist? You know, it was a little bit funny, but outside of that little moment, I thought that was a nice scene for her because everyone seemed to like her. I'm in the minority of camps that I didn't love her. I was like, she's all right. I wish they went with someone else, if I'm being honest. She's all right.
Like, I'm in your camp, man. I thought she was okay. I didn't think she did anything that was world breaking to me.
Yeah.
I thought she was all right.
Do it yourself. This is another deleted scene.
Lao板，您回来了。啊，我听说阿盼进展的挺顺利啊。
这种混乱的局面，真是让人想念。
现在不是好消息吗？啊，我们这儿也没闲着，一直按照您的吩咐在做事儿呢。铁道帮的人已经被咱们兄弟给一锅端了，他们真是吃了豹子胆了，竟敢背着您在咱们地盘上倒卖军火。现在他们就只剩这个头了。
Oh, the dots on his face must be special effects things.
知道我是谁吗？
I guess they would have put in scars or something.
那你应该知道偷10万东西的后果。
你已经把我家人的全杀掉了，动手吧。
你自己动手。 放了他。
What was that about?
I don't know. That one kind of missed me. Like, I guess he's saying, like, take your own life. And
Yeah. That's what he is saying. But I didn't really understand the. At the point is establishing his presence in the world, what he has done, what he's capable of, how people view him. But he doesn't kill the guy at the end. He says, "Do it yourself," which expresses what? Like, what am I supposed to take away from that? That he didn't just axe this guy. But I can see why this got terminated from the film. Like why I got left on the editing room floor because it didn't really move. I don't even know where it fits in the movie, but it doesn't seem like it moves the story along. It doesn't add anything, any layers. I thought it was nice scene work from Tony Leung because he's a dope actor. So naturally. But outside of that, I didn't really gain anything from that. So I can see why it was left on the editing room floor.
I would assume that, his whole thing is having to live with the loss of family. And I think for him, maybe if you're going to be the person that's going to torment somebody, he said, you already took my family away. Why don't you finish the job? It's like, nah, it's more torturous to let you live. So you take your own life.
This is Just Friends.
If my dad won't let me into his empire, I'm gonna build my own.
Hell yeah.
When I first saw you, I wanted to cut your throat.
Oh.
But I can see why my brother likes you.
Oh, that's good. It's good, I think.
Are you into him too?
What? Like that? I mean, he's my best friend. Okay, well, it's just, we have a really good friendship. I don't want to go and screw things up by complicating it.
It's for the best. My brother has a very dark past.
Yeah, he told me.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It felt more redundancy. I mean, we kind of all
more exposition.
Know that they're friends with
nothing else, dude. Because we can't have a Asian romantic lead in a movie.
I feel bad for the frustration. I empathize with that frustration. I get that. That should have been cut because it would have just been too redundant again.
God forbid we see, an Asian man kissing a girl. Shit. People might get mad. That kind of just triggered me a little bit, that scene. Cause it was like, are you really going to beat me over the head with this friendship thing? I wanted to stop the scene as soon as I started it.
You already knew what it was. As soon as you saw the title, you knew what it was.
No, I didn't. I didn't know that. When it started playing, then I knew what it was. 10 seconds in, I'm like, I see where this is going, and I don't want it anymore. All right, so this one is from Emergency Awesome, Shang-Chi alternate ending and post-credit scene, deleted scenes breakdown. So I don't know if we'll watch this whole thing, but I at least want to see the alternate ending.
You know what? They did need to keep that.
Welcome back, everyone. This is my new Marvel Shang-Chi deleted scenes alternate ending video. There were actually a couple of different versions of the ending in a lot of deleted scenes with a bunch of Easter eggs, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. The Hawkeye episodes are going to start next week. I'll be doing videos for all the episodes just like I do for all the other Marvel Disney Plus series. Careful for spoilers if you have not seen the Shang-Chi movie yet. But the first alternate ending big deleted scene is Razor Fist giving Katie a pep talk during their big final battle against the Soul Eaters and the Dweller in Darkness after all hell breaks loose in the Ta Lo village. Razor Fist and most of Wenwu's men have largely switched sides at this point and are fighting with the Ta Lo villagers to defeat the Soul Eaters. And this scene that I put at the beginning of this is happening after Shang-Chi has beaten his father Wenwu, and Wenwu sacrificed himself to the Dweller in Darkness to save him, having his big Darth Vader versus the Emperor Return of the Jedi Star Wars redemption scene. And now the Dweller in Darkness has begun sucking the soul energy from the Great Protector Dragon. So when Razor Fist is telling Katie that she's got to use the bow, it's all to set up that big twist with her landing the dragon scale arrow in the Dweller in Darkness to stun it long enough for Shang-Chi to use the 10 rings and go full Dragon Ball finishing move on it. Katie even literally drops a Dragon Ball reference to Shang-Chi in the movie in the theatrical cut after he comes back.
Sean used the 10 rings to do this crazy Kamehameha fireball that exploded the thing.
So if this pep talk scene feels familiar, it's because it's also meant to be a big callback to the Hawkeye Scarlet Witch scene from Avengers Age of Ultron, where he gives her the famous pep talk about how none of what's happening makes sense. All he has is a bow and arrows, but he's going to try and do everything he can to help. And if she walks out that door with him, she's officially an Avenger.
But if you step out that door, you are an Avenger.
So it was all about inspiring Scarlet Witch to choose to be a hero, which she did. Rewatching the Shang-Chi version of that scene with Katie and Razor Fist, I totally get why they cut the scene. It's not as good as the Avengers Age of Ultron pep talk scene, and it kind of slows the momentum of this final battle down a lot. It just goes on for way too long. And also in this version of the movie, they killed off Razor Fist during this fight scene, and it sounds like they wanted to bring him back in the future 10 Rings spin-off project that Marvel's working on right now, because he shows up during the actual post-credit scene where he's serving Shang-Chi's sister, Xia Ling. She's taken over the 10 Rings, rebranded it a little with her own styling, like the same graffiti that was all over the underground fight ring in Macau.
Let's get started. We have a lot of work to do.
It's all green screens and I mean, they could have figured that out. I wish that they found a way to not cut it out and just keep him alive somehow, because that moment when Tony Stark goes, "I am Iron Man," snap, that was shot like 6 weeks before the movie came out, or something crazy like that. They went back and reshot that scene. Maybe 6 weeks is not the exact proximity, but it was something really close to release date, like maybe 3 months. Right. Like the movie had been done, and they're like, okay, Robert Downey Jr., we need you back. We got to reshoot that part. Maybe it just wasn't worth it to like squeeze that into the budget to put in this bit where he stays alive, because they don't they drop the scene anyhow. Right. I thought it was just a nice moment. Yeah, it'll slow things down a little bit, but maybe that needed a slowdown.
I believe the Miracle shot a lot more after the pep talk than she just picks the bow up and she just nails it. She's just like, oh, nailed it, easy. That's how I felt when I was watching it. I was like, what? You just learned how to shoot this thing yesterday. At least with the pep talk, I would have been like, okay, that moment was, then it would have justified it, but...
She's reorganized them so that they're more of a shady business enterprise like she was running in Macau, with a really strong mercenary army at her disposal. Like they're slightly less evil than they were, say, in a seriously good spinoff. I don't know when that 2 hits theater, instead of it saying Shang-Chi will return. Marvel said they did it that way for the Shang-Chi movie because they Wenwu. Originally, the second, just because Wenwu died doesn't mean it's the last time you'll see this organization. The second alternate ending, like the next big deleted scene, is actually with Shang-Chi and Wenwu. Originally, they were going to have Wenwu survive the final attack against the Dweller in Darkness. He was still going to give Shang-Chi the 10 rings like he did when he sacrificed himself. But in the alternate version, after they defeat the Dweller in Darkness and he goes full Dragon Ball on it, Wenwu would have still been alive. Xia Ling, his sister, was still going to take over the 10 rings in the post-credit scene like she did in the theatrical cut. But if you're a big Tony Leung fan, as you all should be, he said that there was still a lot more Wenwu Mandarin story to tell, like they had plans for a lot more of his story in the MCU. He didn't say exactly how they planned to handle that, but even though they killed him in the movie, they can still bring him back. It's just that now it has to be in flashbacks and prequels. For everybody that wants that Mandarin prequel series, My first assumption is that we'd see some flashbacks with him during Shang-Chi 2 when we learn more about the true history of the 10 rings themselves in the cosmic sense. Like that's what part of the mid-credit scene was for, teasing the larger mystery about where the 10 rings came from, what they were created for, who created them, where the signal is broadcasting to. I've already done several videos about that, so I'll add links for those at the end of this and in the description below. Because some of that's also meant to be an Avengers 5 teaser, but Shang-Chi 2, the sequel movie, will just give us more cosmic 10 Rings backstory. They can also bring Wenwu back for the 10 Rings Disney Plus series in flashbacks for Xia Ling's storyline. But if he does come back, mostly I'm just expecting it to be in the movies and the Disney Plus series that are based on the core Shang-Chi characters, like Shang-Chi and his sister Xia Ling. Like, I'm not expecting to see Wenwu show up in a flashback during Spider-Man 4 or anything like that. The last big deleted scene, the last alternate ending that I know about right now that they've released is with Xia Ling and Katie, and it's actually an alternate version of the post-credit scene. It's the scene that happens right before she goes and sits on the throne, like she's in her room sort of. The scene Katie kind of implies there's some energy between them, like they could become a romantic couple at some point, but the way the director and the Marvel people said that they wanted to play their pairing, like they had a romantic subplot that was in the movie that they kind of just got rid of, like they deleted a lot of other scenes that set that up. Because the way they wanted to play their pairing, like the two of their characters together, was in more of a drawn-out Tony Stark Pepper Potts kind of scenario. Imagine if Pepper Potts had been a bigger character in the first two Iron Man movies, like a bigger part of all the action scenes and the fight scenes. She really didn't get huge fight scenes until Iron Man 3, when she got to wear the armor for the first time, and then at the end of the movie when she got extremist powers briefly. Imagine if Tony and Pepper had not gotten together until the end of Iron Man 3, and they just taken all their time developing their relationship across the first three Iron Man movies and the Avengers movies. So that's kind of what their plans are for Shang-Chi and Katie together as a couple. But that's also why Wong brings her to the Avengers meeting in Kamartaj and says both of their lives are about to change forever. Like she's invited to this big Avengers 5 party that they're going to be throwing in a couple years. Surprise, it's the end of the world again. We're all getting together. Bring the 10 rings and your friend Katie. So you can kind of see the difference in how they're trying to make her a bigger character in Shang-Chi's storyline as opposed to Pepper Potts, who is a big character, but she wasn't really around for a lot of the Avengers teasers in the Iron Man movies. Like in this post-credit scene here, it's just Nick Fury and Iron Man. But just in terms of that sequel movie, I don't think that Shang-Chi 2 will be released till at least 2023 or 2024, so that 10 Rings Disney Plus series might wind up being released before that. So unless they announce some other big crossover before that, that's probably where Shang-Chi will show up next, during the 10 Rings Disney Plus series.
So you feel a little bit better about that budding romance?
Yeah, I do hope that there's something there, just because we the Asian community fucking needs it, yo. Like, we need it. We've only seen straight Asian men kiss someone else on screen a handful of times in cinema in the States. Like, my earliest recollection of it is Dragon the Bruce Lee story, where we saw Bruce Lee and Linda, you know, they had some steamy stuff going on. Maybe Mortal Kombat with Robin Shao and Talisa Soto. Like, I think there was some kissing in there. And then The Walking Dead. I can't think of anything else.
Oh, there's tons of it in the Warrior.
Yeah.
There's tons of it. There's a lot of Asian love. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's more than just kissing too. But I'm excited about the 10 Rings series. You may get a lot of that too, because that is a love story. It's about, you know, how this conqueror gives it all up for the love of a woman.
Yeah.
So you may get some of that.
That's a good setup. I mean, if this is accurate, it's cool that that's the eventual trajectory with those two characters. I mean, and I think that we'll really, really want it. It's just normally you get that in, you know, a single film. Assuming, like, let's assume for a moment this was the only Shang-Chi movie ever. I know that wouldn't happen, but let's just assume. We only got one Edward Norton Hulk movie and one, you know, Eric Banana Hulk movie. So, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you only get a one-off. And if this was the only Shang-Chi movie, like, that would have been a missed opportunity. But, like, it seems that it's pretty clear that he's not going anywhere, that he's going to come back. And so that's cool that we'll get more of their pairing. It's a good pairing. You know, Awkwafina's dope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they use the term pairing it with like Pepper Potts. That gives you some really good perspective of what they're going to do with it. Man, but Doug, you should be really excited about that 10 Rings series, man. I think it's going to be a lot of opportunity to explore the depths of what Asian cinema and Asian actors and actresses can bring to the stage, and also bring some unexpected ideas that aren't necessarily properly represented. You can do that a lot easier in a series than you can in a movie, man. I'd be fired up.
Yo, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Make sure to subscribe to SYNTELL's YouTube channel, youtube.com/SYNTELL. There's also Emergency Awesome. We had IGN here, as well as MCU Master, if you feel like subscribing to theirs. There'll be links to all of these things in the description below. Also, please subscribe here, bell icon, all notifications, and vote this up to let YouTube know you enjoyed what you watched. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is...
It's your boy.
Peace out.